Ah, so sweet. Watch this video. Palestinian father and hostage Ali al-Sayes embraces his daughter after over 20 years in an Israeli prison. His daughter was just a little child when he was taken. This man, as Mohammed Smiri wrote, this Palestinian man spent 20 years in an Israeli prison. It's just so heart-wrenching, isn't it? So sad. Why don't we talk more about these wonderful prisoners of evil, terrible Israel? Well, let me tell you something about this man. He blew up a bus and killed 7 children. Strange you didn't mention that. I want to tell you about some of the people, evil murderers, criminals that Israel released back into Gaza in exchange for real innocent hostages, the Israelis inside of the Gaza dungeons. And by the way, I can tell you for a fact that they would have been treated a lot better than these hostages were treated. And I'll tell you a bit more about how they are treated soon in another video. There's nothing moral, by the way, about treating murderers well like this. This is Dr. Azim al-Dawahid, a Palestinian terrorist who was released from an Israeli prison. What did he say? Look at this. Even if they kill me now, we will still return. There will be no more Israel. With God's help, he says. Soon it will disappear. Yeah. By the way, this is not God's promise, actually. God's promise is that he will give the land of Israel to his chosen nation of Israel as an everlasting covenant. So you're kind of going against God's plan there. So that's not a wise idea, my friend. But look at this. This is one that's going viral at the moment. I'll show you this video. And I'll translate for you what he's saying. He's saying, "Do you see my son? He will come to you again like on the 7th of October. A Palestinian prisoner, his son, who were just released from Israeli prison, promised they'll come back to kill more Israelis like on October 7th. There's your peace." Everyone says, peace, peace, we now have peace. It's not peace. It's a ceasefire. Have a look at this. This is a man, another man, looks so wonderful and innocent. This is an evil man you're looking at. A double amputee. Why? Because he's a suicide bomber who killed three people, and as a result of the suicide bomb, it blew off his own legs, and was saved. He was saved by Israeli doctor. Again, I don't know why we're doing this. This is evil. Terrorists should have the death penalty. That should not be controversial. And the other problem is that they then become used as barter. Don't forget, Sinwar was released in the prior deal in 2014 for Gilad Shalit. Now, I'm sure that Israel is nowhere near as naive as it once was about Gaza and Hamas. We all know that. But it doesn't make a difference in my mind. Especially now with the hostages returned. If you have people who will your destruction, rise up and kill them first. We have not thoroughly, comprehensively dealt with the issue of Hamas and Gaza. We're seeing also random anti-Hamas Gaza militia saying it's now controlling several northern parts of Gaza. These people are jihadists just like the rest of them. They also proved, by the way, that the fact that it's all tribal shows that there never was a Palestinian nation. It's all just Arab tribes, Islamist tribes that hate. They're united by one thing, which is their hatred of the Jews. But this is one of the most heartbreaking stories, and I don't know if you recall Tal Hartuv. She was with her Christian friend. Now I just want to get up her name to make sure that I have it correct. She was with a Christian friend in Judea and Samaria. Her name was Kristin Lucan. And she was also known, Tal was known as formerly as Kay Wilson. She was stabbed 18 times, sustaining severe injuries by a Palestinian terrorist wielding machete outside Jerusalem. She has a jag scar on her chest, and her friend was killed. But what's happened? They've now released the terrorist back into Gaza. How could she feel in this process? You can't begin to imagine. And there's something really, I think, messed up about this, as extremely off the charts delighted all of Israel is for this. And some will say it's just a price we have to pay. I don't know. Perhaps it is now. But perhaps if Israel took a very different tone, didn't appease, didn't withdraw from territory, didn't keep terrorists alive and feed them and nourish them and put them in prisons, if they said we will never ever negotiate with terrorists, thus not incentivizing terrorism like this and doing deals. Don't know. Have a watch of her words on the Erin Moreland show. It's just so painful.
The last thing was that I reserved my right to hate and never forgive. All right. And that's been critical for my mental health. And also that I wouldn't be so consumed with hatred towards every single Arab or Muslim. And I did that from realizing, look, in Judaism, right, the attitude to forgiveness, who to forgive, what to forgive, is very much more complex and well thought out than in a generic Christian approach. And actually, it would be true for Christianity as well. But if there's something bad that somebody has done to you, in order for there to be forgiveness, the wrongdoer has to express that he is sorry and to do his best to restore the situation. So there's two parties involved, which is the wrongdoer and the wrong dude, the one who's had wrongdoing. Yeah. Why do I say that? That's because in the case of murder, that makes murder unforgivable, because the person who's murdered is no longer around to express that they forgive that person. Yeah. So holding on to this idea that murder is absolutely unforgivable, and that also, of course, these murderers are not even remorseful, I maintained my right to never forgive. Never.
By the way, if I would just slightly refine that, if someone murders someone else, first of all, who am I to forgive the murder? You've just wronged someone else. Maybe you can forgive the pain it's caused you, but the one that's been killed is the one that's been primarily wronged here. So it's not your place to forgive them. It's also a sin that they've done between God. It's for God to decide whether or not to forgive. And God can forgive terrible, terrible things, but there has to be forgiveness done by the true judge and the one that's been wronged. The other component is that Judaism, it does not believe in just forgiveness without genuine repentance, without genuine cleansing, without genuine acknowledgement of the evil you've done. It's not good for society. It's terrible for society. For the sinners, the murderers, the second after they do a murder, before they even ask for forgiveness, to say, no, we forgive, we forgive, we forgive. That's not good in anyone's books. That's a suicidal kind of forgiveness. And part of the reason I think that you have this divergence in our different faiths is because Judaism is very much this world focused. It's about partnering with God to make this world godly, to heal this world, fix this world. If your whole focus is on, well, I'm just saved by grace and I'm just going to heaven and heaven's where it's all at, it's a better place, you're going to a better place, then you can forgive and forget everything in this world. But Judaism teaches we're not here to try and get to heaven, obviously. This wasn't the whole world wasn't our plan to begin with. So you're saying God creates us and says, right, get to heaven. No, the reason why God created the world is because he wants to come down to earth and have a relationship with us. And our job is to partner with him in making this world comfortable and habitable for the divine presence to dwell. Surely that makes more sense. Surely it makes more sense to say we're not the needy ones that need to get to heaven, but rather if God created the world, he is the one with a need, with a divine plan that we have the honor to be a part of.
Never forgive. Never forget, and to hate evil. And it's, I'm not talking about taking rampant vengeance, But I hate evil, and I hate these people for what they did to me. I hate them, and because murder has such devastating consequences for so many people, for individuals, for the family, for the town, for the community, for
Yes.
the nation. So by maintaining my right to hate and directing it and limiting it to the perpetrators, that was really a big help for me mentally.
I've interviewed so many people over 20 years who have gone through horrific things, and nobody has ever put how they feel in such a way that's had such a profound impact on me than the way you just phrased all of that then, in regards to your right to hate, and where that hate is aimed is so key, but also the distinguishing between hate and seeking revenge, which you would never do. It's actually incredible. It's mind-blowing how you've managed to come to this space to deal with something that most probably would never be able to deal with.
No, thank you for that, Erin. Look, I wouldn't take vengeance, right? That's just not morally the right thing to do. In my case, anyway, I'm not going to speak for other people, but I do pursue justice. If we look at the Hebrew Bible, it's a totally different thing. And actually, what I'm doing now, when I got this news that this savage is going to be released in the deal, I thought, I was beside myself, right? Wow, so many, not slept now for 3 days, and I thought, what am I going to do with this unrest of my spirit? What am I going to do? And then I thought, okay, I've got quite a public voice now. I had, and then I went undercover, and it's come back again. But I'm going to campaign for the death penalty in Israel. That these cold-blooded murderers, savage terrorists, we cannot afford not to execute them. So I'm going to use that and persuade people based on this idea of justice rather than vengeance. Or even, you hear, Erin, when they talk about the death penalty, people say, well, it's not a deterrent. It's not supposed to be a deterrent. It's a punishment. So that's what I don't know how we got onto that. I can talk too much. I'm very sorry, but it was
No,
like
don't be silly.
I have to tell you that she's absolutely right. The verse in Psalms chapter 97 verse 10, you who love the Lord, hate evil. God has likes and dislikes. He has preferences. And if he wants the world to become a certain way, a certain godly way, he's going to hate forces and things that push it away from that bring more evil into the world. If you love good, you necessarily hate evil. It shouldn't be complicated. And hearing her words, she's obviously absolutely right. I'm reminded of that other verse. Sorry, not a verse, a saying in the Talmud. It says, those who are kind to the cruel will end up being cruel to the kind. I think we can make a whole documentary on that, to be honest. That seems to be one of the fundamental errors that Israel has made. God bless us, because we just want to have peace for our people. We're looking to find ways to just rescue our people and live securely and hold our enemy in some kind of esteem that maybe we can assume that if we give them a bit, that will lead to peace. Well, guess what? We're dealing with an evil enemy. People doubted the evil of Hitler. No, he just wants a bit more land, because he's upset about how Germany was treated in World War I. He doesn't want to take over Europe. He doesn't want to take over the world. He doesn't want to murder all the Jews around the world and other minorities. No, he does. He does. And that's the truth of the whole Palestinian cause. Oh, it can't be. It must be about self-determination. It must just be about them getting a state. No, it's not. There remain many unanswered questions still. We're so thrilled our people who are being terrorized are home. We're thrilled. At the same time, we have painful unanswered questions about what's going to happen now. Wasn't the mistake that we all realized we had made after October 7th was, you can't let Hamas rule in Gaza. You have to destroy your enemies thoroughly. That the two-state solution is dead, and having enemies in our border like this, with an identity that's solely about destroying the Jews and nothing else, unlike, let's say, other Arab countries, but the Palestinians themselves, the whole identity is wrapped up in Jew hatred. That's what it's all been about. They only emerged as a result of Israel's creation in response to that. Hostage deals that has led to, it has incentivized more murders. And by the way, I've been grappling over the past few days with the moral question around this. I've heard some people say, no, absolutely, we should do a deal. Israel can monitor those in Gaza. It's a different situation now. Those that have been released. And, we know for a fact, it's a question mark over whether these terrorists will do more evil, but we know for a fact that we can rescue these hostages. I really strongly hear that. On the other hand, as a matter of fact, by doing this deal, you're incentivizing more hostage taking, because you're telling our enemies, we will do a deal with you for that. And in addition, we've said in the past that we'll release terrorists and we can monitor them, and hasn't worked out so well. I don't even want to talk about any one specific policy here. I'm saying it seems to me that surely one of the overt lessons post-October 7th is that Israel has to have an uncompromising strength and toughness and thoroughness and comprehensiveness in its approach to its enemies. It's not good enough to say, well, we'll just disarm you a bit, we'll just do a bit there. It's like doing a bit of a surgery and then stopping a bit more. It's actually more painful than just going comprehensively, thoroughly destroying your enemies there and then, and that's it. We had to hold back in Iran, and now what's going to happen? Are they going to rebuild? One would predict, yes. Same goes with Hamas. Well, Qatar and Egypt and these other countries are going to be running it now. Who says that's going to be good? And what happens if we have to go in there again? Are we now waging war against those Arab countries? It's messy. So my question that I've been grappling with is, could Israel thoroughly, comprehensively deal with its enemies in the way that it needs to, without being isolated to the point of extinction, God forbid? And if we can't, are you saying that we're just doomed forever to deal with an impossible situation where our security and our safety is constantly under threat? Is that acceptable or tenable? Is that moral? Is that right? And if we do what clearly is a Torah ideal, to rise up and kill first those who are trying to kill you, do we not think God will bless that decision somehow? These are the questions that I'm grappling with. And I invite you to please comment, give me your thoughts. What do you think about this? I'll tell you what I'm at in my head. I don't doubt the morality of being much more comprehensive in dealing with our enemies and much more uncompromising. My question now is only the practicality of it. Would Israel be isolated to the point of where it's not tenable? I'm not so sure. And even if it was, maybe it would just be temporary. We've always been alone throughout our history. We have this pretense of thinking we're not alone. We've got allies. The only one we can look to is the one above, ultimately. And he gives us clear directions on what to do. Anyway, those are just my musings. Let me know what you think in the comments. Before we finish, I just want to share with you something really important. We are told that Israel's actions are the cause of the Israeli-Arab conflict, but we've just released a groundbreaking documentary proving that Arab Islamic Jew hatred far predates Israel's re-establishment. This is a critical fact that everyone needs to learn about. Have a watch of our trailer for our new JTV Plus documentary entitled Arab Antisemitism Before Israel's Re-establishment. Picture yourself, it's 1834 and you're a Jew living in Tzfat, which is a northern city in Israel, then under the Ottoman Empire. Your family is part of this ancient city's spiritual heart for generations. You study Torah, you trade in the market, and live quietly among your Arab neighbours. But one day, a mob storms your street, shouting, "Kill the Jews!" Your home is looted, your synagogue burned, your loved ones beaten. This isn't about Israel, Israel won't exist for 114 years. This isn't about settlements, the IDF, or the 1948 displacements. This is raw, violent hatred aimed at you for being a Jew. And it's not just in Palestine, it's part of a centuries-old story of anti-Semitism woven into Arab and Islamic history, from the dawn of Islam to the streets of Hebron. The claim that this conflict began with Israel's creation, the Nakba, or modern policies, is a farce, a distortion that collapses under history's magnifying glass. Welcome to JTV Plus. I'm Ollie Annisfeld, and today we're uncovering a history too often buried, the relentless anti-Semitism among Arabs in Palestine before 1948, rooted in a broader Arab and Muslim hostility that began with Islam's inception in the 7th century. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.